This book has been shortlisted for the Man Booker Prize in 2014, and something about this title just was really calling out to me, and I couldn't resist picking it up from the library when I saw it, so here it is. So basically with this book, you can read it in two ways. So half the copies of this book have been printed with one story at the beginning and the other story at the back, and obviously the other half have been printed with them switched. It really depends on which copy you pick up, whether you'll read the first bit or the second bit, or whether you want to be rebellious and read the second bit before the first bit. As for me, I picked up a copy where the first half of the story is about somebody called George living in Cambridge in the present day. They are a teenager and didn't really work for me. I wasn't convinced that George was a real person. The dialogue just felt really unrealistic to me. If you like John Green, you'll probably really like George as a character, because I felt like they could definitely fit in with John Green's characters, and the way that they talk, they could probably have like really philosophical conversations with each other. I did connect to George on an emotional level and about the things that they were thinking about throughout the book. Also with this section of the book, I did feel a little bit bombarded with like philosophical questions and arguments about art, and it was just so heavy, like it felt so front-loaded to me that I flew through it, so it didn't really slow me down or anything, but it just felt a little bit too obvious. The themes just felt a little bit too on the surface. The other section of the book was definitely my favourite. This is through the point of view of Francesco del Cossa, who was an Italian painter in the 1400s. Something about this character just really jumped out of the page at me. I really loved Francesco. I loved the story, I loved learning about their life. Francesco was a real painter, but nobody really knows a lot about Francesco as a person. Ali Smith kind of took like a creative license with their life, and I just thought it was really great. I loved reading about their life in relation to our modern day life and in relation to George's story. There are so many connections and links that they kind of join together. But basically the part about Francesco del Cossa's section of the book that I loved was the writing style. It was so poetic. I just felt like it was really strong, and I felt like Ali Smith did a really great job of bringing this character to life and making the story really interesting and fun to read about. I'm going to move on to the themes now so that I don't give too much away, but the biggest thing I think that I took away from this book was the idea of things overlapping. I noticed, especially in George's chapter, that the way Ali Smith transitions from the present into a memory is so smooth that it is kind of like being in two places at once, and it's kind of like seeing two things at once. The other theme that I really liked, and the reason why I haven't mentioned any specific genders, is that it really explores well the theme of masculinity and femininity and gender and sex and sexuality as well. It's really interesting to explore that ambiguity and androgynous aspect of people, and I feel like overall this book explores the theme of being both so well. I think that these days we're so obsessed with putting people into boxes, and like you see it all the time with like personality quizzes on Facebook and things like that, like which character are you, which thing are you, and they'll put you into a perfect little neat box. And I think that what this book does really well is it explores the fact that we can be both. We don't have to assign ourselves to one thing in life. We can explore all kinds of different things, and that's fine. And this book definitely does that, so well done, Ali Smith. In the end, I gave this book 3 stars. I liked it, and I definitely really enjoyed the second part of it, which was Francesco del Cossa. I would recommend this to anyone who is feeling particularly philosophical and after some really deep things to think about. Now, if you have read this book, I need you to talk to me in the comments, because it is a book that I feel like will become much better by talking about it with other people. And that's the end of my review. I hope you enjoyed it, and like, comment, subscribe if you want to, and I will see you next time. Bye! That was really bad.